I think we're live. Yes, we are live. StreamYard says we're live, so we must be live. Hi, guys. Welcome back to Solo Club and Merry Christmas. It's the 21st of December as I record this, and this will be the last Solo Club live stream of 2023. I know, very sad. Stop crying, stop asking me to come back, and there's no encore. I'm sorry, that's it for this year. Um, I was going to do one next week, but then I thought I'll probably be sat here on my own because why on earth would you tune into me rambling on about the content creator industry when you can be sitting there, drinking and being merry and eating turkey sandwiches? So this is the last one, and I thought what I'd do because it's the last one is do a bit of a end of the year Q&A and a very quick look back on what's happened this year, because I've just very quickly noted down the kind of key events, the key things that have happened in 2023, and it's amazing. It's one of those things where you don't think about what's happened in a year ever until you sit down and write it down. And when you write it down, you realize how much stuff has happened. It's worth doing, actually. I recommend doing it if you don't normally do this. At the end of the year, I always do a kind of reflection. So I always look back on what happened and look at my diary and see the things that were in the diary and just think back to the stuff that that's kind of happened and I've just forgotten about, whether it be good stuff or bad stuff or whatever. And the things I've noted down, and it was done very quickly, to be fair. So I've not noted down everything, but I've noted down as many things as I can think of that were big things in 2023. I've just noticed that on my notes I've put looking back at 2024. That's not right. Let's get the dates right. Um, there's been some really big things. So firstly, that's going to be what we talk about today. But then the majority of this today is going to be talking. It's going to be a Q&A, an end of the year Q&A, a bit of fun. Ask me anything you want about this year, about what I'm planning for next year, any questions you've got about your content creation strategy or the stuff that you're working on. Any personal questions you've got, who cares? Just let's go for it. It's also Thursday. This feels very strange because normally this is a Friday. The reason it's Thursday, I can't sugarcoat this, is because I'm going out tomorrow afternoon to have a few beers with my mates. We do this every single year. We've done it for the last at least 10 years, maybe longer. Every single December, we have a little Christmas drinks thing, and it's me and two mates, and we've been mates since we were about that big. It's that sort of friendship where it's always the same. You meet up, you don't see each other that much, but whenever you do, it's great. So I'm looking forward to that. But that's the reason I'm doing this on a Thursday rather than a Friday. So thank you for joining. I can see lots of people are coming on board now, and if you're watching this in the future, again, thank you so much. Very quick bit of housekeeping. The Creator Academy kicks off at the end of January, so we're just over a month away from it now. We've got quite a bit of time between now and then, which is nice to get things organised and ready for you. We've got a few people signed up, which is fantastic. If you have already signed up, thank you so much. I can't wait to meet you on the Q&As that we have. But very quickly, if you're not sure what this is, what on earth I'm talking about, the Creator Academy is me opening the doors to this business, not literally, but it's more me, I suppose, opening the bonnet and showing you how everything works and everything I've learned over the last 3.5 years, building both Mark Ellis Reviews and Solo Club, and putting it into a self-paced course, which if I'd had access to this, I'm not just saying this because I'm making it, but if I'd had access to this 3.5 years ago, I'd have jumped on it. I genuinely would. I've been around long enough to know where the value is in these things, and I know that following someone in someone's footsteps and learning from their mistakes, the things they've learned, their wins or their losses, all that stuff is the best way to do this. And I will go into everything. So I'm going into everything from the kind of content creation side of things into how I work with brands, sponsorships, the reporting aspect of it, the team part of it, everything we're going into. The good news is that we've been running an early bird offer for this over the last few weeks, which a few people have taken advantage of. Now, originally that did end yesterday on the 20th, but we've just decided, literally, I won't lie, about 2 minutes ago, to extend that because it's Christmas to Christmas Eve. So when is Christmas Eve? Christmas Eve is ridiculously close, isn't it? Is it Sunday? I should know this. It's Sunday, so we're basically extending this to Sunday, and we'll do it end of the day Sunday. So you'll have Christmas Eve to do that as well. So if you want to treat yourself to a little present before Christmas, you can do it. You can save a bit of money, and away you go. But yeah, that's it. If you want to get involved in the Creator Academy, go for it. You will not regret it. There's a full money back guarantee as well. That's how sure we are that you're going to enjoy this. But there's no questions asked. If you attend it and you think that was a bit rubbish, we'll just give you your money back. No problem at all. I don't think you will think that, but it's, yeah, no risk basically. Anyway, that's the sales pitch out of the way. Let's talk about 2023. So I have just listed down, as I say, a few things which I can immediately recall as being milestones. And the first thing is passing 100,000 subscribers on Mark Ellis Reviews. That happened earlier this year. I've got the plaque, which is on the wall up there. And it's a very hard thing to describe, the feeling of getting that, surpassing that 100K and getting the plaque, because anyone who starts a YouTube channel has that in sight. You're acutely aware that there is this kind of arbitrary number, and it is arbitrary because 100. Why isn't it 110? Why isn't it 50? Why isn't it 10? Why isn't it a million? It's just a random, kind of even number that YouTube has picked to be this thing where you get the plaque. But we're all aware of it, and we're all working towards that 100K, and it takes a long time to get there, and a monumental amount of hard work. And when it arrives, and the ironic thing with mine is that I decided to unbox my my plaque on the Mark Ellis Reviews newsletter. So it arrived, and it had to sit in the studio in a box down there. I remember it was behind me, just down there, when I was filming stuff, boxed up, because I wanted to save it for my newsletter audience. So that was quite tricky to kind of stop myself, prevent myself from opening it. But I did, and yeah, it's a really weird feeling. Even when the channel clocked over to 100K, it happened overnight. We wanted, myself and my girlfriend wanted to see it happen. So we'd kind of, I think it was a Saturday night. We kind of had a couple of drinks, and we'd been watching TV, and we had a MacBook set up with the live counter on it, just in front of us, and it was at 99,995, and then 96, and as happens on YouTube, the number goes down sometimes as well. So you'd lose a couple, then you go up again, and it got quite late, and it was still at about 99,995 or something, and we were just tired, so we thought, well, let's go to bed. In the morning, it will probably have passed over. I woke up at 6 a.m., checked it, and it was 99,998 or something. I fell asleep, woke up, and it had passed 100K. But the thing is with this, as with any big milestone that you keep reaching for and you keep going for, you reach it, and then it just happens. You celebrate. You kind of pat yourself on the back. You have a little celebration, and then you just kind of crack on, because nothing really changes. You're into the 100K club. Great. That doesn't mean much really, apart from getting the plaque. You may get a few more brand opportunities. I think there is something involved in that. I think you end up in more kind of searches for brands and PR companies, definitely, if you're in the 100K club. But that's it really. You have to just crack on, and then it becomes a distant memory. And I think I also had one of the worst periods of growth after that. So I hit 100K, and then growth really slowed. It was a slow time of the year, and for whatever reason, all of that kind of excitement just died down to this really frustrating, why isn't the channel growing as quickly as it was? Things have picked up since then, and it's, we're at 130 something now. So that was definitely the biggest thing that happened this year in terms of numbers. I say that, actually, it wasn't. The biggest thing that happened in terms of numbers is the next thing on my list, which I don't think I talk about much, which is the average monthly views, which have always hovered for me at around 800 to 900,000 views. But a few months back, it hit 1 million for the first time ever. So I went into YouTube Studio, and the thing where it says, the last 28 days of your stats, it said 1M on the views, which was a lovely moment, actually. And in a weird way, it felt more satisfying than the 100K. It's a bigger number, obviously, but the 100K is wonderful. But it's subscribers. It's a mixture of people who want to subscribe and who regularly watch your content, and it's people who don't, who subscribed once and then just forgot you existed. So the active views is meaningful. It gives you something to it gives you a kind of feeling that the channel is really picking up momentum. And at the moment, that number's about 1.5 million, so it's gone off the charts. Numbers wise, this year it's been pretty crazy. And also in terms of numbers, my end of year. So my end of year isn't the calendar end of year. This is the financial end of year, fiscal end of year, if you like. Ends in June, end of June. And I've had my best year ever. So in terms of turnover and profit, it's everything's up basically, and up quite significantly. So that was fantastic as well. This is all me patting myself on the back, isn't it? But this is a reflection of 2023, and most of it is good stuff, to be honest. So um, there you go. Who cares? The other good stuff that happened this year is that I've struck up some really good brand partnerships, and you'll have seen this if you follow me on Mark Ellis Reviews, if you follow my Instagram and Twitter accounts, you'll have seen me tweeting and kind of doing stories from lots of different far-flung locations. Most of those were down to the brand partnerships that I've struck up, where I get invited out to see product launches and get early hands-on with products and things. This year has been really good for that. I've got some really, really good partners, including Bose and Huawei, Honor, Samsung, and several others as well. Apple, even to a degree. I've had some stuff with Apple, which has been great. And yeah, it's taken me to some amazing places. Dubai, Brussels, Berlin, New York City. Sorry. I spent loads of time in London. More time. I don't live in London. Some people think I live in London. I don't. It's about an hour and a half away on the train. I love London. I go there quite a lot, but I've gone there a lot this year. It's been a real London centric year, to be honest. But that's again because of these brand partnerships and the stuff that happens down in the capital. So it's been great for that. Some really good stuff, and there's some good stuff on the horizon as well. I think next year, 2024, I think is going to be a very hectic year in terms of travel. January is a great example of this. I'm going to Vegas for CES, which is very hard to say. CES in January. I'm also going to Germany with someone else in the end of January, and then February I'm going to Barcelona for the Mobile World Conference. It's gonna. I just get the feeling next year is going to be very busy travel wise, which is okay now because I am building a team, and that's the other thing that has been really very transformative and a big strategy this year that is paying off big time, which is the growing the team. So I've always had a little team behind the scenes. I've got Max, who's been working on publishing stuff for the website. I've obviously got a VA, accountants, bookkeeper, etc. But the two big things I did this year, well, three big things actually. No, four big things. Yeah, let's try and list them. So the first one, the biggest one really, is Niall. So Niall is my general manager. He came on board in September. And he basically takes me out of the things that I shouldn't be in and stops me slowing the process down. So he works with the brands that we bring in and we work with. He does some editing. He does a lot of editing himself, actually. A lot of the short form stuff that you see for Mark Ellis Reviews and Solo Club is Niall. And he's a very, very good editor. He's much better than me at short form editing. So he does that as well. He's doing a lot of reporting stuff behind the scenes, and he's just doing a lot of very impressive stuff. And he's taking me away from that stuff, which is exactly what I wanted. So that's the first thing. The second thing is Max, who I mentioned a moment ago. He's getting more and more involved in the website. So he's kind of being tasked with a lot of SEO stuff on the website, a lot more writing. And next year, that role will get bigger as well. We're doing. I will talk about this in the new year actually, but we're doing some quite big structural changes to markellisreviews.com. We've moved to WP Engine, so it's got a brand new hosting package behind it, and we've got some other SEO mechanical, technical stuff, technical stuff happening behind the scenes that's very exciting. But his role is going to grow in 2024 as well. What was the third thing? The third thing is Callum. So Callum is the guy who I'm not looking at the comments yet, but he may be on board now. But he's very much on board behind the scenes with Solo Club. He's very graciously offered his time for anyone who wants to have a quick 10-minute chat with him about the academy as well, which is nice. But he's kind of the engine room behind the scenes with the academy and with a lot of the stuff that we do on Solo Club. Again, taking me out of that process. So all I have to do is this kind of thing: make the content, turn up to these live streams, and keep my head out of everything else. Basically, they're the three things. What was the fourth thing? There was a fourth one. Um, we've had Niall, we've had Max, we've had Callum. There's someone else I'm forgetting, which is really embarrassing. Who am I forgetting about on this? It will come to me. It will come to me. Who's the fourth person? It will not a person. It will come to me. Anyway, the point being, I'm growing this team, and I'm taking myself. Oh, the fourth person. I know who the fourth person is. The fourth person is a guy called James, who is a he won't be watching this, thankfully. I assume he's not anyway. But James is a consultant who's come on board to work with myself and Niall on the sponsorship side of things, and more specifically, he's working with Niall to support him on growing the sponsorship side of this business and kind of firming it up. And again, taking me out of it because I shouldn't be involved in that stuff. I should just be agreeing to the sponsorships and doing the sponsor reads and all that sort of stuff. So this team building thing is going back to the whole traveling stuff, and what is going to be, I think, a very busy 2024. I do have the space for that now. I have the space to do that and create the content without having to get my head into the weeds. So that's been a big thing that I've started this year and will only kind of increase in 2024, really. The other thing, something else that I wanted to mention as well, is Substack. So I started writing on Substack in January this year, and I now have about 580 or so subscribers and 29, I think, at last count, paid subscribers. And that has been really, really exciting to see. It's very slow growth, really, but well, it's fast, but it's also quite a small audience, but it's a very engaged audience. You might be part of it. If you're not part of it, by the way, it's completely free. There's a link down below that you can click and sign up to the Substack newsletter. But I've really gone for it this year. And I haven't missed a single Friday Substack post since January because I've treated it as a very important thing. If you joined the webinars this week, by the way, thank you so much. I ran a couple of free Substack webinars. They are, I think, one of them will be made available as a free download on the Solo Club website. We'll let you know about that when that happens. To find out about that, by the way, just join the Discord server. Again, it's free. You don't have to hang around if you don't want to, but it's full of people like yourself who want to do this kind of stuff for a living. But yeah, thank you if you joined those Substack webinars. So that was looking back on 2023. I mean, in terms of what I'm going to be doing next year, as I say, it's more of the same, really. Building the team. I don't want to have loads and loads of people involved. I want to keep this team fairly small, but certainly increasing the responsibilities for the people within that team, and further removing myself from some of the processes. More working with brands directly. These trips and the product launches and that kind of thing is going to be a big part of 2024, I think. I'm really focusing on growth content. I want to really grow the channel big time. When I say the channel, I mean Mark Ellis Reviews, big time in 2024. By focusing on growth content. And if you've got questions about what growth content is, we can talk about that in a minute. But and equally, Solo Club, I want this thing to really blow up. We've got 1,500 subs, I think, at the minute. The channel isn't monetized yet. Solo Club, apart from the academy, doesn't make any money, so it's very much a loss leader for this business. But I have very big plans for it. Arguably bigger, probably, than Mark Ellis Reviews, because there's a huge opportunity with Solo Club, I think, and there's a massive opportunity for me to help a lot of people who want to follow in my footsteps. So that is going to be a huge goal of 2024 in terms of really getting the sub count up on this channel. And again, hopefully I can do that because I've got help. I've got people who help me do this stuff now. I'm really looking forward to next year. Really, really am. And I'd love to know as well, guys, what are your plans for 2024 when it comes to your plans to do this kind of thing or start a business or whatever it might be that you're doing? What you're planning on doing? Let me know in the comment section or the chat section now. On that note, let's just go straight into the Q&A. I can see we've got some comments because what? I don't know what I'm saying. We've got comments, which is good. So ask me questions, guys. We've got loads of time now. I'm here for another, if you want me, 40 minutes. I don't know if it'll last that long, but yeah, hit me with your questions. Callum is on board. Hi, Callum. So are lots of regulars, which is always nice to see. Johan's confused because it's Thursday. I'm always confused, to be fair, but I'm even more confused today. There you go. The QuickBooks chap. Hello, Aaron. You appreciate the Thursday. You don't get to see. Oh, that's interesting. I'm never sure when to stage these. We've always done Fridays, and the numbers have been building quite nicely. Um, but I've always said we can play around with these dates. We can play around with the timings if we need to. There's no big deal. Come on, guys, hit me with your questions. What have we got here? Oh, we got someone new to your channel. I won't destroy your name and try and pronounce it. I'm terrible pronouncing names, but thank you for jumping on board and coming on to this live stream. You're always everyone's welcome. You're all welcome, and you're all well. You're all great. I still don't really understand why people come onto this. It's lovely that you do, and it kind of proves that there's something in Solo Club. I'm very British about this. I'm very kind of, why do people take an interest? But clearly you do have an interest, and for that reason, you must have questions. So come on, guys, hit me with your questions. Here's a brilliant one. What's your favorite fragrance? I haven't really got a favorite fragrance, actually. I bought some Boss stuff in, I think, New York when I went to New York earlier in the year, which smells very nice. I'm not very good when it comes to the old-fashioned stuff, guys, and I just like things that smell nice. What a terrible answer. That's why I don't make fashion content, obviously. Hello, Luke. Right, what's Johan saying here? So you've got events and podcasting already scheduled in the year ahead. That's good. Lots of video vlog ideas and playing with the new DJI Osmo Action Pocket 3 that arrived this week, which I'm loving. I had a play with someone else's Osmo Pocket 3 when I was in Dubai. Check me out, Dubai, last week. Brilliant. Really like. I nearly bought one actually, but then I thought, hang on a minute. I did a live stream on this a little while ago. I'm the one that always says, keep your gear simple. Don't keep buying new things. Stick with whatever works for yourself, particularly when it comes to vlogging, because vlogging is one of those things where you don't want to be caught short or get lost in settings and things while you're running around trying to film stuff. So I stopped myself from buying yet another vlogging setup. But I think that the combination, I don't know what you're doing with the audio, Johan, but I think the combination of that DJI Osmo Pocket 3 and a DJI mic, which I use a lot, is one hell of a setup. So yeah, great little camera that. I think I'm really impressed with that. Aaron, any tips for a remote editor? We use Google Drive and it's painful. Keep thinking. Oh, hello. Keep thinking to pull a trigger on a NAS, but it's a minefield. Any tips for keeping it simple with a remote editor? The NAS side of things is an absolute minefield. I do have a NAS, and the only reason I've got one is because I partnered with Synology, and they gave me it. To be completely transparent, that's what happened. It's an amazing NAS, but equally they came here. Two people came to this studio and set it up. That's the only reason I've got one. If they hadn't done that, I haven't got the time or headspace to think about it. So I know exactly what you're saying, Aaron. The good news is this good news? I think the way that I work with this. So as I say, I have Niall, who's doing a lot of the editing now, and I also have a guy called Richard who's done a lot of the editing over the last year or so for short form. And what we do is just use Dropbox. So it's very similar to what you're doing with Google Drive. But I know people have a lot of things to say about Dropbox not being great, and why aren't you using iCloud Drive and yada yada yada. I've used Dropbox for the last 10 years, and it's been one of the most important assets in this business. One of the most useful tools ever. I pay for it, so it's not cheap, but it's not particularly expensive. And I shouldn't say this, but touch wood, it's bulletproof, and hopefully, and I don't think Niall's watching this, but I think he would probably agree with the fact that we're sending a lot of files one another's way. More me sending stuff to him. So I'll shoot I will shoot rather the the content for the short form stuff. He also edits some of the like all the podcasts for Solo Club, which are very big files, as you can imagine. I stick all of that into Dropbox, and he waits a bit. It arrives, he downloads it, he does his edit, he sends me back the proof, I watch it, it works. It's relatively secure, I think. If Google Drive, I don't know why Google Drive is painful. I don't tend to use Google Drive. If it's painful because it's just falling apart and crashing or just unreliable, then Dropbox is another example. And NAS is probably the most secure way of doing it. But the NAS, the one thing you have to remember about a NAS is that if the NAS is in your studio, as mine is here, for someone to grab files from it remotely, which they can do, that relies on my internet connection here sending the file up and then their connection at the other end bringing it down. That's much slower than Dropbox, because on Dropbox I just upload the files to Dropbox. They do it overnight or whatever, within half an hour sometimes, and then Niall grabs them whenever he needs to, and he's grabbing them from the cloud directly. So that's a long way of answering that question, Aaron, but I hope that helps. It's worth getting a NAS anyway. I mean, for all joking apart, I think I would have invested the time in the NAS at some stage anyway, because having that central location for, backed up B-roll and my old videos and everything else is nice. It's nice to have that. But yeah, Dropbox is the thing that we rely on the most, basically. Come on, guys. Any more questions? You must have some more questions for me. Hit me with anything. I always say that and think I'm going to regret that one day, which I'm sure I will. We haven't had any really weird questions yet. So, again, I shouldn't have said that either, should I? I'm going to get a weird question there. Yeah, Callum's just confirming that he was feeling festive about the extension of the special pricing for the Creator Academy. It's a nice thing to do. It's Christmas, isn't it? Rob, are we supposed to be podcasting later? We're not actually, Rob. It's not in my diary anyway, because it's gone a bit awry in a way. Not awry, but it's a bit weird because we filmed the 8 or 16. Rob, for those who don't know, Rob is the co-host on the 8 or 16 podcast. We filmed the last episode a week before it went out because we filmed it here. Rob got an Uber from 2 hours away to here, which is still the most amazing thing anyone's ever done for this business. And we filmed the first YouTube episode of 8 or 16 in this studio, which was amazing. But it went live on Saturday, and because there's a 2-week cadence with 8 or 16, technically we wouldn't have been doing today anyway. So it's actually next week, Rob, but that's in between Christmas and the New. We'll talk about this offline. This is turning into an 8 or 16 meeting, which is interesting. But yeah, if you haven't subscribed to 8 or 16 on YouTube yet, go and check it out. They won't. The future episodes will not be as highly produced as this one because, as I say, Rob lives 2 hours away from me. And I would not expect him to get an Uber here every 2 weeks to do the podcast. Yeah, go and check it out. We're proud of it. I think it looks good. I think it's hopefully interesting. Yeah. Back to the NAS side of things. Your idea was, this is Aaron says, my idea was a NAS here and a NAS at the editor, and have them replicate, but might have to have another look at Dropbox. I can't comment on the NAS thing. My NAS knowledge is relatively useless, but Dropbox, it just works for me. It's one of the, I don't care what people think. It just works. And for me as a business owner, if it works, if it's not costing me too much, I'll just stick with it. And it's worked for a long time. Callum, what was the best thing you stopped doing this year apart from the team? What was the best thing I stopped doing? The best thing I stopped doing was editing short form content, definitely, because before Richard came on board and more recently Niall came on board, I was doing it myself. So I was doing everything. I was doing writing the kind of the written version of the video, filming the long form video, editing the long form video, publishing that on YouTube, and then chopping it up into 4 or 5, sometimes 6 or 7 short form pieces of content for TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts. And it just took forever. And I'm not a short form editor. I can edit a long form video. I'm pretty good at that. But I'm not a short form editor because short form editing is a very specific skill. You have to really engage the audience because you have literally seconds, maximum 30, 50, 60, if you're lucky, 90 seconds to keep them engaged for the entire video. And because of that, and it's all vertical, obviously, you have to do lots of clever transitions and captions and just make it really, really interesting. And if you've watched any of my videos on Mark Ellis Reviews, they're not like that. They're not the MTV generation. There's not even any background music. So the fact I pulled away from that, it's done 2 things. One, it has given me time back to invest in other things. And secondly, the quality of the shorts has gone through the roof. If you look at the most recent ones we've done, I think they look fantastic. And the numbers have improved as well. big time. So we're seeing some really big numbers. We had our first 1.5 million view video on TikTok last week following the Dubai trip. It picked up 1 million views in 2 days. A lot of that, I think, was down to the editing because it was so engaging. But yeah, very good idea. Not very good idea, but check me out. But it was a very good thing to drop that and give it to someone else. There probably were other things, Callum, but I can't remember. And Callum says, "Are we doing a Mark Ellis fan club meetup in the new year?" I never want to do a Mark Ellis fan club. I don't think I've got a fan club for starters, Callum. But a meetup of a meetup of aspiring content creators. Yes, we need to do something at some point. I'd love to do that. I genuinely would. When is your coffee machine video dropping? It dropped yesterday. So you may have missed it. It's still there. It doesn't go anywhere. But yeah, if you go and look at it's not obvious because the video that the coffee machine features in isn't mentioned in the title of the video, and it's not in the thumbnail. But it's in the video big time. So it's the studio behind the scenes thing that I published yesterday. I think the actual title we used was the best Macs in my studio. The reason I did that was to try and get people to watch it. If I put Gadget Academia review, no one's going to watch that. And that's nothing against Gadget. That's just the way YouTube works. But yeah, go and check it out. It featured quite significantly in that video, and it will feature a lot more. Trust me. Aaron says, we run a niche podcast. We have a limited number of options for sponsors. Do you think we could branch out and approach sponsors outside our niche? For context, our pod is around accountancy. Yeah, it depends how big your podcast is and why does this keep happening? I was doing this before we started. We went live. I did this and something. There we go. Look. Why is that a thing? And why does it always do it when you don't want it to do it? Anyway, hopefully you can see that, by the way. There's things appearing on the screen. Imagine if only I can see that. That would have made sense. Sorry, Aaron, coming back to your question. Branching out to sponsors outside of your niche. There needs to be a link for two reasons. One of them is sponsors probably won't touch you if there isn't. If you go for a sponsor that's very much outside of accountancy, that from their perspective, there's not going to be anything in it for them. There needs to be some form of link between what they do and your audience. And secondly, if there's no real tangible link, it's going to annoy your audience and they'll switch off straight away. It's brutal, this sort of stuff, but you do have to have sponsors really within your niche, or not so much within your niche, but that offer value, genuine value to your audience. That works for everyone basically. But it does matter. It does depend on how big your podcast is. I've never had a podcast sponsored, so I'm not the best person to ask about this. This is how hard podcasts are in terms of getting sponsorship. So going back to 8 or 16, that's been going for 3 years now. We've never had a single we may have had one or two sponsor approaches, but they've been the sort of things you wouldn't touch with a barge pole. Whereas with Mark Ellis Reviews and Solo Club, the YouTube channel to a degree, they started to come through quite quickly, and a lot of them were very interesting because it's a YouTube channel, and podcasts are very difficult to get to grow and to get sponsored, which is why I admire anyone who sticks at them, because they're a hard, long slog, definitely. But yeah, there has to be some value for your audience, basically, Aaron. There has to be something there. Otherwise, you're just kind of bringing in a sponsor for the sake of having a sponsor, and even if you get paid well for it, the net effect of that on your audience and the podcast itself is a bad one. So that's probably the best way to explain it. Sorry, what's it? Rob is saying we need a MarkCon 2024. No, we'll do something. Something is going to happen, 100%. Rob's explained. So the special effects, it's a Sonoma. It's a Mac OS thing, isn't it? It's really annoying. I didn't realize it did it on every single video platform. I thought, I don't know what I thought. You can turn it off in the menu bar. Oh, can you? You can. Reactions, brilliant. They're gone. So, okay, reactions. That's better. Thanks, Rob. Synology is out of the question. I don't know why that's the case, Aaron, but if it's too expensive, I don't know. But yeah, the NAS side of things, get advice on NAS stuff from people who know what they're talking about, definitely. Rob's talking about shaking an imaginary pot of salt onto your yeah, I'm not going to do that. Any more questions, guys? Anything about this year, what I've mentioned about the plans for next year? What are your plans? What are you planning for 2024? It's going to be an interesting year, I think. Um, Really interesting year with the continued rise of AI. I'm aware of some creators building YouTube channels very, very quickly with AI, which I don't begrudge at all. It's a little bit frustrating when you spend well, you invest a huge amount of your own time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears, all literal, into building your own audience, and then you see people using AI to build a very big audience very quickly. But equally, as I've always said with AI, you can't run away from it. This is the reality of what's happening. Thankfully, I don't think that's for everyone. I don't think that approach to YouTube is for everyone, which means it's still a brilliant time to get into this kind of stuff, which is why 2024 is going to be interesting. I think with AI, coming back to that for next year, it's just going to continue to make things easier for us. I talked about this recently. I think was it last week we did an AI thing. Was it last week? Um, I for me, AI is a companion. It's something which helps me get things done more quickly. It's something which helps the team get things done more quickly, and that can only be a good thing from a business perspective. It means we're more profitable because we're doing things quicker, we're getting things out the door quicker. There's less labor involved. It's good all round. But yeah, I have no doubt that as 2024 comes into effect, we're going to see more and more the kind of impact of AI on this industry. So from tomorrow, is your work schedule more relaxed? So it's more relaxed in the afternoon because I'm just going out for beers. In the morning, no, I've got to work my what's name off just to get everything done before Christmas Eve, basically. I am taking a little bit of time off over Christmas, but not much because I've got a lot to do with the academy, and there's one more video to be made before the end of the year, which is my smartphone of the year, which might surprise people. So yeah, there's still quite a lot to be done, but equally, I want to spend time with the family, and I don't want to. For instance, there's a day next week in that weird time between Christmas and New Year, when I've got to do daddy daycare duty because my girlfriend's got a day planned doing something else. I'm really looking forward to that because it's a Wednesday or something, and I haven't had my son in the week on my own like that for a long time. So because I'm always working, obviously. So that's going to be lovely. I'm really, really, really looking forward to that. So I am going to pull back a little bit, and definitely tomorrow afternoon I'm not working. I can't work because I'll have had a few Guinnesses. Um, Aaron, do you think you need to get hold of the Vision Pro this year? I presume you mean next year. Do you feel you will be disadvantaged by not being in the US and having to wait? Will it be that much of a popular video? This keeps going through my head at the minute, Aaron, because the rumors about it are intensifying, which does mean we're going to see it pretty quickly, pretty soon. We knew from Apple that it's going to be at the start of next year, and there were some rumors about it being in January. Now it's sounding like it's going to be February, which I guess makes sense, really. I did wonder if they were going to do it during CES to steal the limelight from that conference, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think from the sounds of it, it's going to be February, which, like I say, makes sense because it's a very big launch. It's got to be a very complex launch in terms of the retail side of it. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do. How do you go and buy a Vision Pro headset? How do you go and try it in the store? Um, I think back to the Apple Watch. There were all those questions about that when that was first launched in, what was it, 2015, 2016, whatever it was. How are they going to sell a watch in store? How can you try on different watches and stuff? They've done that very well. So they'll need time to do this and roll it out, obviously. So I think February is probably going to be the case of when it goes live. This is a great question for these live streams because it's a conundrum for me as a content creator because we don't know when it's coming out in the UK. I mean, the best case scenario with this is that they launch it in February 2024, and at the same time they say it's coming to other territories, including the UK, in the summer, for instance. If they say that, I'll wait into the summer. I won't rush to do anything else. If they don't say anything about that, and it's not clear when it's going to come to the UK, I mean, I presume it is going to come to the UK at some stage. But if there's no indication given whatsoever, what I've been planning at the back of my mind since they announced it, and they announced that it was only appearing in the US to begin with, is actually going over to the US and making a thing about it, making a video about going to the US, getting Vision Pro, trying it, bringing it back, whatever, depending on how logistically that is actually feasible. Um, Obviously, in doing that, there's a big cost involved. There's getting across to the US, there's buying the thing, which is going to be $3,500. But it's the whole, the time away from here, from the studio, away from other content, etc. It's a big lift, and it's an expensive lift in terms of a piece of content. So your last question here, where you say, will it be that much of a popular video? It all hangs on that. If I did all that stuff, invested in tickets to wherever to go and get it, and bought it and brought it back, and spent all that time making the video and yada, 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 it's going to cost me several £1,000s to create that. Even if I got that video sponsored, would I see the return, more importantly, in terms of audience and audience growth, and a big number or several big numbers attached to that video? I have absolutely no idea. If it completely tanked after that, it would be a would it be a disaster? It wouldn't be a disaster, because I'd have the thing, so I could make more content out of it, and I'd at least be in the Vision Pro game, which I think is important going forward. But in terms of looking at it cold hard profitability, it would be a bit of a disaster. I don't think that would happen. I think that video would do well if we got it right. You can't rest on your laurels with that sort of stuff. You can't just assume that you'd make a Vision Pro video and it go off the charts, because there'll be thousands of them next year. So it's a real quandary at the moment, Aaron. So it all hangs on what Apple says and what they announce and what they say when they announce it, because as UK people, we have no idea when we're getting it, which is a bit frustrating. I think Concepts by UN. I think you're new to the live streams. Thank you for coming on. If you are. If you're not new, apologies, I haven't spotted you before. So in 2024, you're hoping to start uploading to your new channel again in January. Do you write your script first and decide the shots from it, or vice versa? So my process is write the blog post. So pretty much, in fact, every video you see on the channel starts life as a blog post. That blog post gets it gets kind of bullet pointed. So I take out the paragraphs from each blog post, bullet point them out into Notion. So I've got this kind of broken up blog post, if you like, that I just riff from on the video. So I sit there in front of the camera. The intro, the hook, and the intro, the very start of the video, and the lead into the main content. That's normally that's normally the most scripted part of the video, but the rest of it is just taken from that blog post. And because I've written it, and I've normally written it fairly recently, it's very kind of fresh in my mind. So I don't really have too much of an issue sitting there and waffling on, and then using the editing process to cut out the waffle and keeping the good stuff. So yeah, it's not really a script. It's more of a blog post broken up into bullet points, so I can easily refer to it while I'm filming. That isn't the most common way of doing it, really. Most people don't do it that way at all. Most people do write a traditional script and read from the script. I've spoken to a few creators this year who kind of had this light bulb moment when I said to them, "What do you do with those scripts afterwards?" And most of them said, "Oh, they just get binned, or they just get filed away." And I said, "Well, why are you not turning those into blog posts? Why aren't you doing something with that content?" And you could almost see that light bulb go, and then them sort of shrink and think, "Oh my word, I've been throwing away all this content." But again, in fairness, it's not something you think about doing. I come from a writing background. I'm a writer before I am a video person. So to me, that was the obvious way to do this, but it's not obvious unless you know it's obvious. So that's the way I do it anyway. And hopefully that will help you next year. And best of luck with your channel. Rob says, Vision Pro, you need to do an in-person reservation to get fitted lenses. You may not need a US postal address to complete the application. If so, I'll ping you my mum's. She'll be cool with it. Amazing. Thanks, Rob. It's a good job your mum's over there, actually, isn't it? We could get her on the channel. Would she be up for an interview? We could get her to wear Vision Pro and demo it for it. She wouldn't do that, would she? No, that's interesting. So you have to get fitted lenses. My eyesight isn't too bad. I don't know if I'd need it or not really. I probably wouldn't. I only wear glasses really for computer use, which is exactly what this is. So maybe I would. Who knows? Thank you for the offer. Thank you for your mum's offer, Rob. We'll keep her posted on that because that could be very useful. Um, that was almost a cent. Butterfly Cam, I think, are you new as well? I think I don't remember seeing. If I've missed you before, apologies. But regardless, thank you for joining. Compared to a regular job, how many hours do you spend per week for all of your content? Crikey, on content alone. Oh God, how do I work this out? So I suppose each day I write. I do write pretty much every day, and writing slash getting proofreading stuff and publishing it. My input on that probably takes an hour and a half every day. I think roughly. In terms of video work, bearing in mind on average we do 2 videos a week, sometimes 3, sometimes more. Generally speaking, 2. It takes me in total probably a day and a half, I think, to get to completely do my bit on the video in terms of filming it, filming A roll, filming B roll, editing, getting it onto YouTube Studio, and etc. So you're talking what we're there. It's it's probably in total. It's a lot of the week, basically creating content. But then it doesn't feel like it's all of the week, if that makes sense. I do work very long hours, so I start work at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I finish at about 5. So I do that most days. I also typically work Saturday mornings as well. And like any business owner, I tend to dip in all over the place as well because it's impossible not to, no matter how many times you say to yourself, work-life balance. That probably doesn't help. I've never thought about it, so that's probably a useless answer, but it's quite a lot. But those timings that I've just given you gives you an idea of how much time I'm investing for each type of content. It's a lot. It's a lot of time, but I love it. The blog post is such a good idea. Yeah, like I say, it's something which is just for me, it's obvious, but I appreciate it's not obvious to everyone. I just hate the idea of people writing scripts for YouTube videos and not posting them anywhere, just keeping them for their own use. Keeping them as a script. They should be blog posts because generally speaking, they're well written. That they're written as stories. If you know how to run your YouTube channel and you've built an audience, that is all down to your writing. It's not actually down to the videos. It's down to your writing because you could be a brilliant videographer and shoot beautiful B roll and do amazing editing and all that stuff. Get your titles right and everything. But if the content itself is rubbish, then you're never going to grow. If it is growing, it's because the content is brilliant. And the reason the content is brilliant is because of the writing. Everything comes back to the writing. And not doing stuff with that it's not a crime. It's terrible. Please make them into blog posts, put them on your own website, put them onto Medium, put them onto Substack, do whatever you need to, but just don't waste them, definitely. Rob says, if you do fly over, it would be hilarious to film a 70-year-old, 4'9" Chinese lady trying a Vision Pro. Think Dark Helmet from Spaceballs. Oh, this is the video, Rob, isn't it? This is the video. I can see the thumbnail already. In fact, going back to what I was saying a moment ago about that potentially being a wasted trip, if this was the video that came out of it, it would never be a wasted trip, even if 3 people watched it, because that would be the best video I've ever made. Let's do it. Let's do it. Does your mum know about this? Is she watching this? Is she on the call on the live stream there? This has taken a turn, hasn't it? I didn't. This is a little bit like an episode of 8 or 16. Hello, Alan. Welcome on board. Any other questions, guys? We've got another 10 minutes ish before I need to head home. All I can think about now is Dark Helmet from Spaceballs, which it remains one of the funniest films ever. I think about this more than you probably should, but the ludicrous speed thing on the what was the spaceship called in Spaceballs? Can't think what it was. Someone will know, but whatever it's called on Spaceballs, the main spaceship has a ludicrous speed mode, and the button where the ludicrous speed button says never press this button, which I just always think about that for some reason. It's just absolutely hilarious. She doesn't even know what YouTube is, your mum. Okay, Rob. Well, we need to get her on board. We need to do it. Let's get back to a content creation question. StreamYard is now allowing to post to Instagram. Is it? I didn't know that. It's a bit of a clunky process. For our podcast, we currently live stream to every platform available, 10 plus locations. Wow, that's commitment. Is this a good idea? I don't know, to be honest, Aaron. I only use StreamYard to stream this, and we use it for the 8 or 16 podcast as well, which goes out to Twitch. If you're on the Discord server, you'll be aware of that. I didn't know you could do it to Instagram, so that's for a live Instagram post, isn't it? I'm guessing. What 10 location? Can you expand if you don't mind? Expand on what you're doing with that with those 10 locations. Do you mean 10 different territories or 10 different platforms? I'm really interested in this, but in terms of it being a good idea, if it works, I mean, you're saying it's a bit of a clunky process, which I'm not surprised with Instagram. Any platform I've used where it's integrated with Instagram has been a pain in the what's name to use, because for some reason Instagram makes everything very difficult. So I'm not surprised by that. But if you can get it up and running, then why not? I think the only thing you have to be aware of when you stream to multiple platforms, again, if that's what you're kind of describing, is that you have very different audiences on each one, and each platform has its own idiosyncrasies, and you'd have to be careful about things that you reference, I guess, in terms of features and stuff while people are watching, which could get a little bit confusing for people. But if you keep the content fairly generic and you don't reference the platform, you'd probably be okay, I think. It is Spaceball 1, Rob. It is definitely Spaceball 1. Never press this button. Why make it? Brilliant. Alan, question. Off for Christmas. Going to work through the Medium Academy whilst on the brandy. I should have made the Medium Academy whilst on the brandy, Alan. It would probably be even better. Should I start a Substack instead? Really enjoyed the Substack chat last night. No, thanks for coming on, Alan. I think you asked a question, didn't you, about Substack? I would put your effort into Substack, to be honest. The stuff in the Medium Academy will still help you because it talks about niche building and all that sort of stuff. So you can apply a lot of that to, in fact, an awful lot of it to Substack. But I think your time is best spent doing that. And if you're doing it while having a couple of brandies, even better. It might be your best work ever. Who knows? Definitely concentrate on Substack. That's where the opportunity is, I think, really. Mark, you've developed your own style and it's amazing. What's your secret to keep consistency and not getting distracted by the fast move in the industry? That's very kind of you. Thank you very much for those lovely words. My own style is just me, really. And I talked about this on the Substack webinar last night, that the best way to write the best content is just to be yourself. And what you'll find is that you'll be some people's cup of tea, and people will like you, and they'll follow you, and they'll get to know, like, and trust you. Those three very important things. And equally, some people won't like you at all. They'll absolutely, for no apparent reason, despise you, and they'll let you know about it. If that happens, you're doing something right. If you have that polarizing opinion of your personal brand, if you like, that's brilliant, because you've found an audience, and you've equally ostracized the people who shouldn't be following you, and that's a very good thing, trust me. So that's the quick note on the style thing. In terms of remaining consistent, again, I talked about this week on the Substack podcast, and also it's one of all the questions I get, this one seems to be one of the most popular, which is how do you get this content out? How do you keep making videos? How do you keep coming up with ideas for blog posts and live streams and all this sort of stuff? And as I kind of mentioned on the Substack webinar this week, that I've never run out of ideas. I've never kind of woken up and thought, oh no, what video am I going to make today, or what blog post am I going to write? I've always got ideas, even if there's nothing on the plan. Even if, and this does happen occasionally, if there's nothing, on this morning's Substack list to write about, I'll come up with something pretty quickly. So for me, it comes quite naturally. It always has done. I'm very lucky like that. I can't say the same about numbers. I'm terrible with numbers. So for me, it's all about these kind of things. If you struggle with that, and I completely understand why you might do, it's the best thing you can do is just keep a scratch pad of ideas. So whether or not it's on your phone, or on your handwritten notes that you keep with you all the time, just note down things that happen. If something excites you or annoys you, or you encounter an experience that really kind of resonates with you, just make a very quick note about it, because that's content. Whether or not it's in your niche or it's not in your niche, it doesn't matter. Just make those notes as you go through the day. I do this all the time. So within Notion, we've got various areas for blog posts and video work, all kind of categorized by Mark Ellis reviews or Solo Club, etc., and the types of content, whether it be short form or long form or Substack post, etc., etc. Throughout the week, I'm always dipping in there and putting a blog post idea in or a Substack newsletter idea in. So I very rarely have those instances where I wake up in the next day and don't have anything to do or can't think of what to do. There's always something to talk about, always. If there's not, if you keep finding that you're running out of inspiration and the consistency thing is proving really difficult to nail down, then dare I say, you may be writing or creating content in the wrong niche, because it should come fairly easily. If it doesn't, you perhaps don't enjoy that niche as much as you think you do, or you've turned a hobby into a niche that you're targeting and effectively a business. And if you've ever done that before, I've done this a few times in the past. I turned photography into a business before I started doing this, and fell out of love with photography because it became a chore. Basically, I stopped taking my camera out when with the family and stuff. So that may have happened as well. So this stuff should come easily. And in terms of consistency, just pick a day and a time each week to do the thing, whether it be filming or writing, whatever it is, and do it. Make sure, make yourself accountable for it. Make sure you have to do it. Whether or not you make yourself accountable with a habit tracker or an accountability partner, as they call it, someone else who's doing the same thing, and you make sure that you're both doing it. Just make yourself accountable for that thing. But if it is proving difficult consistently to be consistent, then you need to look in the mirror and ask yourself some questions about what you're doing and what you're approaching. Aaron, 3 times LinkedIn. Oh, so this is is this the multi-stream location thing? So 3 times LinkedIn, 3 times YouTube, 2 times Twitch, 3 times Facebook groups, and now 2 times Instagram. Other than Instagram, it's pretty easy to set up, but worried it's spreading the content too far. So is all that stuff going out at the same time? These are live streams, aren't they? Is this a live stream, Aaron? I'm really interested in this because it's fascinating. It fascinates me. Does StreamYard let you do all of that consecutively or at the same time, whatever the phrase is? That's my question immediately for that. We'll come back to that. How far ahead do you plan your videos? So it's about a month at the moment. We're kind of for Mark Ellis reviews in particular. We are January, for instance, is completely booked up. So we've got at least 2 videos a week for all of January, and a little bit of leeway here and there for new releases and things that might come out of the blue. So yeah, about a month ahead normally. I'm happy with that. That tends to work okay. I've planned a couple of months ahead before, and that gets very sticky because 2 months in the future for tech is, well, anything can happen basically. Things come out of the blue, particularly when you cover Apple. That can really screw things up in terms of your plans because it just comes out of nowhere. But generally speaking, a month, 3 or 4 weeks I've found has been the optimal thing in terms of having enough content to aim for. To have videos that are in the pipeline that might suit sponsors that come in. So if I have a sponsor that says, look, we've got this Mac piece of software, what have you got in January that we could potentially jump off the back of? I've probably got a Mac video, an unsponsored Mac video in there on the 15th of January or something. I've got something we can immediately say, look, prime location, it's ready to go, jump on. So yeah, about a month. But I do know a lot of creators who don't, who plan a week ahead. And for them, it works. And I admire that. But I can't do that. I have to plan a bit further ahead. I really do. The thing is, you have to stop yourself. It gets very addictive planning ahead. And you can get to the point where you just keep adding. You keep adding stuff. You keep having ideas. You keep putting them in. And I've done that. I still haven't completely solved this issue. But I do have that issue occasionally where I put too much stuff in. I don't stop myself and think, hang on a minute, something may happen. Apple might release new Macs in that month. Let's just hold back a little bit. So just tread with caution on that. Come back to this live stream, this multi-live stream thing. So it is live stream, which we then repurpose to a pod. Okay, so I didn't know you could do that on StreamYard. I genuinely didn't, but that's very cool. Is it? I don't think that's a problem. I think they're all different audiences. I mean, spreading yourself too thinly is a valid concern. Um, I wouldn't worry too much. What I would, if it was me, I'd keep a very close eye on the stats, on the metrics for those platforms. If, for instance, you're streaming to 3 different Facebook groups, if a couple of them aren't doing anything, is it really worth? If you're only getting a handful of views each time, it's probably, is it worth it really? Um, Having said that, if there's no overhead in doing that, because StreamYard's doing all the work for you, maybe it doesn't matter. I think that's great. I'd carry on doing that, to be honest. And if you're repurposing them into a podcast, brilliant. That's right up my street. You're doing the right thing with that as well. Just think about, I don't know if you do this as well, Aaron, but think about repurposing it as written content as well. Get an AI-based app to pull out the transcript and publish it as a blog post. The Fish Finger Reaper is here, my favorite YouTube handle ever. My voice is also going. Hello, Fish Finger Reaper. I don't want to know what that name means, but I love it. Right, we're at 5 o'clock already in the UK. It's been an hour. I can't believe you had me for 40 minutes. I thought you'd have got bored by now, but you haven't. Any last questions? A couple more minutes and I will shoot off. Excuse me. Fish Finger Reaper, any YouTube changes you expect for next year? Do I have any growth plans? I have lots of growth plans. I think you may have missed this, but it'd be worth watching the start of this video again once it goes live. Lots of growth plans for next year. Really want to grow the Mark Ellis Reviews channel in terms of growth content. So focusing on content that is really geared towards bringing subs in, not just paying the bills. That's very important. And Solo Club, really want to get this channel on fire. So tell all your friends, please. So lots of growth plans. In terms of changes to YouTube, I don't know. I think we'll see more AI stuff built into YouTube, into YouTube Studio and that sort of stuff. But it moves relatively slowly, YouTube, which is a nice thing. I like the fact they don't make massive changes or even small changes that regularly. It seems to be that they're very considerate when it comes to creating new ways of doing things building in new tools and things for creators or changing the existing tools. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to happen next year with YouTube. Who knows? I mean, this year has certainly been the kind of year of short form content. The podcast thing has been brought in. All that's kind of not sunk without a trace, but it's just kind of been added in, and no one talks about it anymore. But or certainly I don't. So yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what they do next year. Here come all the questions. Favorite pizza store? Favorite pizza store? I think it's probably Papa John's. Don't know. Is that international or is it just a UK thing? Papa John's. They do lovely thin pizzas. Very nice, very tasty. What's Santa bringing me? I don't know. I don't think Santa's bringing me anything. Actually, Alan, we're just some time off. He is bringing me, so I'm getting something apparently, but I haven't asked for anything, and all I want is just some time off. That's it. Have I played with the new multi-YouTube thumbnail tool? You love the concept, but struggle to make one thumbnail, let alone multiple. No, I don't think I have access to it yet. I think it's one of those things that they're rolling out slowly and in batches to people. So I don't think we've got access to it yet on our YouTube studio, but very interested in it. I think the idea of A/B testing thumbnails is very exciting. So as soon as that comes out, we will jump on that. Alan, very excited about the Creator Academy. So am I. Link down below, guys. Just to reiterate, actually, we've extended the early bird pricing to Christmas Eve because we're feeling festive. So jump on that if you want to save some money. Do I have a sub goal for 2024? Should you? Very good question. Both very good questions. First answer is no, and the second answer is no. Actually, I don't think you should. I think that I used to have these goals. I used to have every month a goal to hit in terms of subs, and every month, well, not every month. Most months I kind of hit it or just roughly got there roundabouts, and then some months I didn't hit it, and then it went down, and then went up. And you just look at it and you think, what am I gaining from looking at these numbers? Nothing really. If I just invest that time instead in making content and doing more productive stuff, then those numbers will carry on growing actually. So I don't have a sub goal. I wanted to get to the 100K because you get a nice plaque, and I think, as I mentioned earlier, you do get a few more brand opportunities. But I've hit that now, and what happens next is it's all a bonus, really. So I don't have a sub growth goal. I don't think you should. I wouldn't focus too much on that number. Right, guys, I think have I missed any other questions? I haven't. I think we're there. So, thank you so much for joining this live stream, guys, and thank you for watching in the future. If you are, please subscribe, hit the bell if you've enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Hit the subscribe, give us a like if you've enjoyed it, hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Yada yada yada. And thanks for watching these this year. Thanks for getting involved. I've really, really enjoyed doing this every Friday, even though it's Thursday today. It's something which I will not stop doing next year. Hopefully we'll get other people involved. And I know someone has asked for my girlfriend to be on this to ask me questions, and someone else has asked, I think it was Callum, for Niall to come on and do a kind of Q&A thing with me live. We'll do all that stuff, I think, at some point. But generally speaking, I will not stop doing these Q&As because I love doing them. It's lovely to see the familiar faces and new people coming on as well. And if you've been a regular, thank you for giving me your time. It's brilliant. I love these questions. This is where it all comes alive, really. So this is the last one for 2023. Having a week off the live streams next week, but we will be back in January, on and off, because there's lots of travel happening in January. But we'll work around that. We'll work it all out. And yeah, have a fantastic Christmas. Have a lovely New Year, and I will see you. Well, I'll see you in 2024, which sounds crazy, but yeah, have a brilliant Christmas, guys, and thanks for joining me. Cheers.